Good afternoon, family. My name is Melvin Jackson, and I am your brother. I pray to be your messenger, and I am your anchor. For I am anchored to my Father. Please, anchor to me, where we'll hold each other strong. Thank you for joining us. If this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. Please don't be a stranger, for we need you here. We start to hold and call ourselves into account of our growth and the things that bring us to where we want to go. We need your help, Father. Please help us. Please help me. Guide us. Be an example. Show. Be a man, a father, and a servant. Once again, thank you for joining us. This is the Anchor Club, and you're in the right place. What we do is we rebuild. We walk in the light of my Father, and we become wiser. We wake up the knowledge in us that God has stored in us, and we do what is expected of us. We grow here. Plenty times I refer to us or this moment in time like a personal trainer. I try my best, and I'll do my best to get the best out of you, to help you, get the best out of yourself, and me likewise. We grow together, we learn together, and the good Father keep us together. So again, welcome. Please take advantage of the subscribe button, because this is a way we can stay in touch. This is where I'll be. I pray you'll be within the listening of my voice. So let's get to work. Thank God for Friday. I used to work, and Fridays used to be the end of the work week, and I could relax for 1 or 2 days, whatever. Or I do the things that I need to do, get away from my job, get away from my work, and give more time, spend more attention to myself. I thank God for that. Today, I pray before I come before you, for I don't want to just sit here and talk about everything that I think I should, although I do sometimes, or I have in the past, I should say. But now I'm asking God to guide me, for He knows what we need. Our daily bread is all Him. If you excuse the way I say it, but when I say that, what I mean is that I want Him to guide us to where He see fit, and He see the need. I depend on Him for everything, and like everything, such a moment as this, I depend on Him, and I pray to Him to guide me, keep me on track, so that I might be a good messenger and tell you these things that's before you. So thank you and welcome. Also, remember, if you will, to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If I'm missing something, if you would like me to speak of something that means something to you directly, I'm more than happy to, and I'll do the best I can to do just that. But more than you and me, I want the strength, the knowledge, and the wisdom of our Father to talk through me, that I might be a talking point or more, for I am my brother's keeper, and deliver the message to you, so that maybe the beginning of action will be pondering the thought. Because most time, once we think the thought, we put it in action. So shall we do today. So sisters and brothers, good afternoon. I thank you for being here. And one of the things that was on my mind today, I pray God reinforce that. You hear this new expression, or maybe it's not new to everybody, but it's new in the sense of saying the new 20s is the new age that we seem to want to count backwards, because they say the new 40s is the new 30s, and the new 30s is the new 20s, and I would imagine the new 20s is the new 10. We can't count backwards. We need to count forward. As we grow and we mature, we go forward. We've gone backwards probably as far as we could go. And by that I mean my peers are of my day and age, if you will, and so on. If I am to be who I am, then advancement is a must. I was once 10 years old, and when I reached 20, my advancement was more than just 10 years as such, but it was a time of development as well as maturity. In my maturity, for me to advance where I should be, then I must do the things of that day and time, if you will. As in order for me to mature, I must go forward. I must look at the things that I need to see so that I might be able to do the things that I ought to do. I am dependent to do as I get older. As we get older, we get more responsibility. We go from walking out the house with our parents when we were little and we were in their care. And throughout the day, we were taught how to act, how to behave. We were also taught there's times for whatever we have in mind to do. There's a time to play. There's a time to work. There's a time to eat. There's a time to rest. There's a time to sleep. There's a time to get up. There is a time for everything. Today is the time for us to acknowledge what those things are and how important they are to our growth. For we don't want to be stunned or stunted, if you will. We don't want our growth to stop. We need to constantly grow and go forward and experience the things that life have for us to experience. We apply those to the day and times. When I was 20, I thought like I was 20. When I was 30, I thought like I was 30. Just because I'm getting older doesn't mean I'm getting wiser. Just because I'm getting older doesn't mean I'm getting the lessons, of life. I can't avoid growing and maturing. I can't avoid that. And if I do, I stunt my growth and I don't mature anymore. I can't stay a child forever. You know the expression on the silly TV show sometimes? I want to be a Toys R Us kid. No. There's points in our life where toys no longer serve us. We are adults or young adults, and some toys we have to put away. Because not only we're not interested in those things anymore, we're moving forward and our old interests are replaced by the new ones. We call it growth. We can't stop growing. We shouldn't stop growing. We shouldn't want to stop growing, because if we do, for the most part, we're at a place. We need to find our place within ourselves. Well, the challenge is ours when we become at the age that we're able to acknowledge who we are, what we're inclined to be, and what we would like to be. And we match those things up with phrases like, what would you like to do? What would you like to be? What direction would you like to take to bring all of these things together? So we have to grow up. We can't stay children forever. We have to grow up into manhood and womanhood and to young adult. Nothing stays the same. I'm sure you hear that out my mouth, and you'll hear it more, just as a reminder that we can't stay the way we were yesterday. Today's a new day. Circumstances don't allow that as we advance. I use the metaphor or the example of a child growing up under his father's roof. After a certain point, he's uncomfortable for most requests out of the father is what the father wants. When we were growing up and we started to leave our father's house, then we were able to start to articulate the things that we want. My father arranged his house one way. I get a chance to arrange it how I like, my way. I get a chance, if you pardon the expression, as you young people say, do me. I get a chance to do the things that I want to do. That's advancement. That's something to look forward to. That's not anything to fear. In fact, if we didn't, probably would be something to fear. Because sometimes we're made uncomfortable in our father's house because we've outlived that age. And we're not advancing, for only you, mostly, and I know what my reasons are. I'm not working, so I can't support myself. Well, when I was younger, my mother and my father supported me. Now I'm older and this is required of me. This comes with all sorts of good things. It's not bad. Learning and advancement is a good time in life because you get a chance to see what these things are. See what makes you happy. Once again, get to know yourself. God willing, I'd like to introduce you to yourself. Good, bad, and indifferent. We are who we are. We inspire, I hope, I know I do, and I'm sure you do, to do better, to learn, make mistakes down the road, correct those mistakes, and move forward. Almost like every day has something to do with that. If you take a moment and look closer, these things take place sometimes with us being mindful or just living the day. Simple things like each day Each time you experience something, you don't see it the same way. Why? Because there's a lot of different things at play. You think different, situations are different. Each day brings us something new. I'm praying that it brings you closer to desiring to know who you are, what you are, where you're going, where you want to go. All of these questions, I think, for me, and I think, and I would think also for you, these are challenging things for us. This keeps life interesting. Life is not bored or boring. Sometime I can, and probably you too. But when we put things in order, then we're able to maybe focus on things that's not just more important, but things that are of our heart, things that make us function. Moments we like, moments we don't like. As an older man, I say to my younger brothers, try not to pile too much garbage in your living space. Try not to clog yourself up with worries and regrets. And I mean, we are to some extent going to experience those things, but we experience them and we move on. We do our best. It's time that we start learning once again about who we are and what we're doing here. Advancements, once again, is that I should know my place and my job and my responsibility to myself and others. But when I advance, like when I do good or better, everything around me is rewarded with that. Because then I start seeking more. It's like developing an appetite for whatever it is, for whatever that more is. But it's the experience life. God brought us here to experience this life. But we need to have order in our life that we could better enjoy our life. There's so many simple indicators out there, almost like, if you will, driving a car. It's simple metaphor, but I mean, when you run into a red light, you know how to stop. When you see a red light up before you, you learn how to slow down so that you're able to stop. If you're going too fast, it allows you to adjust your speed. Life is like that sometimes. Understanding what a green light is, it means go. That you don't stand there, that you can go. You're free to go, if you will, to the next light. Life is like that, and advancement is like that. And if we don't follow the simple rules of these things, then how do we govern ourselves? Some people used to use that phrase, oh, I was raised by the TV. Excuse me for saying it, but just to say that the TV is not real as such. It is a depiction of what we make it. Sometimes there's good lessons on TV, but if them lessons escape us, then they don't do any good for us. So that we don't think that life is a TV show, that we have to understand the reality of our lives. Sometimes we get lost in the TV to escape our moment and put our time or attention towards something else. It could be comedy, it could be a talk show, it could be music, it could be all of these things, but they have their place. I'm not saying that's bad, but what I'm saying is it's hard to allow that to govern and to shape us. The real work begins inside, our minds and in our heads, our desires, where we want and what we want in life. We have to get back to the page. It's not easy to open a book and turn to the last page because you haven't read the book yet. Advancement says if you take the time and go through page by page, you'll eventually reach the end of that book. And then you'll know the contents of that book. At the same time, you'll hopefully learn something about reality, thinking, or even not thinking. Right now, we're talking about using our nugget up there to think, to govern, to shape, to show us. We have to build a field that we understand what reality is, what is acceptable, what is not. Self-control is a good example. Self-control in the hand of a wise man is able to control himself, look at the situation, and act according. The other side of not having self-control is quite obviously the opposite. But we don't learn nothing. In fact, maybe if we're open to learning, then we'll learn what not to do. Just like they say, I learned what to do and I learned what not to do. Because each side has its balance. So when we're dealing with reality, then let's stick with reality. When we're dealing with something serious, let's leave out foolishness. But we can't study the two of them at the same time. Let's do one thing at it. Let's, as the phrase say, let's keep some things simple. We don't need to complicate things because some things come complicated already. And it is up to us to have the mind to unravel it and uncomplicate it and make it simple. It's about how we think. Thinking is most important. Following everybody and what they do and not even understanding why they do what they do. How do I follow that? How do I let that guide me, that kind of thinking? I'm fulfilling somebody else's thoughts. No, it don't work like that. I have my own thoughts. It's what I do with them determines, for the most part, what I'm doing, where I'm at, where my thinking is at, where I want to go. All of those things are, if you will, all of those things are in the package. So, once again, getting to know ourselves is important because we need to know who we are. We vouch for other people as if, to be honest with you, let's think the thought. Oh, that's my friend. Nah, he's cool. Nah, he's good. Nah, he's this. Nah, he's that. Fact is, maybe we know that person well enough to say that, and maybe not. But sometimes when we don't know ourselves, how can somebody say to me, I know you, beloved? How do I vouch for you? Truth is, I don't know you. I hardly know me. Where does that leave my credibility? Family, I need us to start thinking more serious and in the line of seriousness. When we're children, we can play and we don't have to face those kind of matters. But when we grow of age, it's time to start facing those things. Because what we're going to get in the future, most of the time, is going to be a little more than what we're getting in the beginning. But if we prepare ourselves, if you will, I liken it to training, because we need to train. Somebody is new on the job, they train you. They show you the job. They show you what's expected. They show you what to do. They show you what not to do. You know, we need those instructions in order for us to go forward and do and be something that we can be proud of, our families could be proud of. That helps us get where we're going. And pray, and I pray that we also bring our families with us. The young ones see our example. They see what we go through. We go around dodging life. What are we showing them? When you don't want to deal with something, dodge it? No. We're not doing our job if that's what we're doing. And we could do better, but we got to have a mind to do better. We can do better. We will do better. And we got a God that watches over us. Sometimes, my brother and sister, sometimes it's a good time to be alone. Because for me, most of my growth was by myself. I don't sometimes need to be distracted. When you're studying and you're learning something, the last thing you need to do is be distracted. Why? Because it takes away from your concentration. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, family, we need to concentrate on what we're doing. We need to focus. We need to know what we're doing, and the only way we can know those things is by practicing. We set a good example for the little ones behind us that watch us. It's a time to play. It's a time to study. It's a time to, I don't want to go through all of the times, but there's a time, and there's a time for everything under the sun, if you will, because God gave us a day. And I pray we make the most of those days. So as we grow and we learn and we see what lies before us, we don't have to be overwhelmed. Life shouldn't be overwhelming. Sometimes it can be. Sometimes the lesson comes when we're not prepared. And to me, in my experience, those were the harder lessons because I wasn't prepared for what was going to come in my life. Most people can't, well, you know the old saying, you can't prepare for everything. Yeah, I got that. I understand that. But let's try to prepare for some things. Let's try. But if we cover the bases, if you will, then if I run into problems and I don't have the answers, there's places that I can go and find the answers. The answer ain't that I'm not ready, so I'll ignore that, or you know, me copping out, excuse that expression, but me not dealing with whatever's in front of me. I have to deal with that. That's being responsible. That's who we are. That's our job. Family, we struggle together. Let's not stop doing that, because we help each other. If I'm having a hard time with something and I need some help from my brother or my sister or my father or my mother, then I go to the source. And if, you know, the old expression says that you know what you need to do before you ask anybody to help you. I don't know if we need it to be confirmed, if you will, in different situations. I don't know if we lose sight for what we call common. Common sense is one of them. We have what we need to deal with whatever we're facing. If my bike breaks, I go to a place where they know about bikes. If my car breaks, I go to a place that know about cars. If I'm a little wiser, when I buy a car, if you will, I have a manual that tells me about that car. So when I go and I experience things about that car and I'm not sure, I can look in the manual. Family, this is the manual of life before you. This scripture. If somebody give you something and they swear by it, if you will, they swear to you by it, that's what they use to guide them through, we're talking about life right now. And it's not, for me, it's not restrictive, or should I say as restrictive as some people would think. What do I mean by that? Most things that I base my life on and where I want to go, I want the freedom to experience whatever, if you ponder the way I say it, because this is how I think, God allows me to see or go or face. Scripture aligns me with who I am, who I pray to be, and how do I go about being that? What do I need to do? How do I like a traveler, excuse me, that travels from one place to another. He might lose his direction, or he may not be sure of his direction. But there's ways to check his direction. I call that common sense. Sometimes I get lost with the common, and I don't always make sense. But practicing that makes me better at that. For if I don't, then I will suffer. I will suffer the success of what I'm looking for or trying to accomplish. I need guidelines. We, family, have to have guidelines because it governs us. That's a discipline that's needed. And in growth, we recognize that. Because if you don't, like I said, you see an advancement left and right, to the left of you, to the right of you. My friend's advancing, my girlfriend's advancing, her father's advancing, his sisters, the world is advancing. What's wrong with you? You have to advance, and you have to make an effort for your well-being. We need to learn things. Like I said earlier, we go through things to learn things. First time we get first look at it, I know about, I can't speak for you, of course I can speak for me. I look at it, I have no idea. I might have an idea, but I don't know how to go about that idea. Sometime if you leave me up to nonsense, I'll put the carriage before the horse until somebody come by and say, brother, you ain't gonna move like that. You gotta put the horse first. Then you put the carriage, and it'll take you where you want. It's common, but sometimes we left common behind us, and we need to find it back again so that we may find our way through whatever situation and whatever in life that we have before us that we want to go and accomplish. I said, and I'll say it again, there's nothing in this world that you can't have if you want. We all want things. Again, I'll speak for myself. I want things. I like things. That's what life is about. Whether it's big things or small things. Whether I'd like to one day have a family or my own business, if you will. Whether I'd like to be free to go this way or that way, I don't keep telling myself no. We got to start practicing saying yes. 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 Yes, you may. Yes, you've earned it. Yes, you can do it if you desire to do it. It starts up here. The body goes where the mind tells it to go. When we find our mind going where the body wants to go, we say that that's not discipline, because for the obvious reason. We have to get to know ourselves so that we know what we need. In the early days of me going to high school, and I left my little school to go to a big school, and now all of a sudden it was about this thing they used to call a program card, and they would leave it up to the student. Pick what you think. These are what's available, and you pick what out of what's available of the things that you think interest you. But the basis that they would give you during my day and time, I don't know if it's changed. I don't think it has. But you would get math, you would get social studies, you would get English, you would get skilled writing, and all of these different things. They call a curriculum, and they would balance you to what you need. And then you might have maybe one or two periods, if you will, that you can put. Oh, I like basketball, I like to gymnastics or swimming, and then you can pick out a couple of things that you like to do. But before you're able to do that, you have to get the main things that you need. And so life is like that also. We have to get the main things that we need. To a married man, it is a responsibility. You have a family to think of. It's not just you anymore. For one that's a single person, you have more free time. You can pick and choose the things that you like to apply your free time. You're free to do that. So each circumstance is set up its system, if you will, towards what's geared towards that's geared towards what an individual person needs for their life, and it's room for everything in between. Time to relax, a time to have fun, a time to get serious, and life is within those bases of what we call reality. Once you start skipping reality, then you're no longer not just being irresponsible to yourself, but equally irresponsible to your day and time or your position. It's equivalent to not doing your job, skipping out, not showing up. And if you're there, you're not paying attention, and you're not getting the things that you need from those things. Once again, as you go up the ladder, if you don't take the things you need, so that when you get to that next step or the next step on that ladder, I liken it to that, if you don't mind, that next step will call for, let's say, A, B, and C. But you only picked up A, you left back behind you B and C. You're not prepared, and when you're not prepared, then you don't get the most out of what you need to get. 30-year-olds, the new 20-year-old. No, you can't. go backwards. We liken it to just what we were talking about. Imagine the kid in 8th grade now and want to go back to the 3rd grade. It don't work like that. Life is not like that. You can't go from a man to a child. You can't, in terms of what we're talking about. You can't go backwards. You have to go forward. Amen. Our bloods, if you will, in our arms and in our body don't run backwards. The blood runs the direction that God has aligned it to run. And it works perfect for what we need, how we move, and our in our anatomy. That's the reality. We need to hold on to reality. We don't want to escape reality. There's a time for fantasy, but fantasy has its place. Reality is a must. We live in a real day and time. There ain't nothing phony out there in terms of being real. And neither should we go out there seeking things that are not real. We have to, as the saying goes, face reality. These are the things we need. So why not be prepared for that? Why not be ready for situations and learn it? We have to learn. It's a school. Life sometimes is likened to a school. Those that fail to learn will repeat. Mistakes that's not understood opens way to more mistakes. We have to stay connected with reality because this is what it is. So we go forward in life and take on challenges and be prepared. And as we experience things and we succeed, it encourages us to go further, to learn more, to succeed in more things. We meet up with challenges. That's what life's about. Life ain't boring. I might be boring and my ways might be boring. And if I get pulled away from the interesting things that I like about it, then it is boring. But boredom, has a place as well. It has a place. Everything, there's a meaning for everything. Everything ain't maybe what we need at any given time, but everything has a place. Right now, we're talking about improving oneself, going forward, learning the lessons, if you will, being happy in life, enjoying what God has allowed us to come into this world and enjoy. We don't have to be so worried about all of the things that we don't have to be worried. We can't control those things. I don't. And I can't control what happens to me when I step out the door. But there's a trust there that whatever's for me, I'll get. I don't have to go out there looking for trouble. That's not what I'm about anyway. That's never what I want it to be about. But for those that throw caution to the wind and don't understand that, then they're vulnerable to whatever's waiting for them out there. We fall for the weakest traps. Family, I need to warn us to don't fall for those traps. To don't give way to those things. Keep upright. Keep going forward. Keep looking forward to what else God has for us. It's a lot. If only we learn to trust it. Do what we need to do. God got the rest down pat, man. We're here in this world to do what it is we're here to do. I don't know everything that I'm here to do, to be honest with you. But as I go along, I learn to observe and look at things. A person don't have to go to prison to learn how to walk in the park and just look around and be okay with the day and don't be stressed out and you know family, bear with me please, because I want to show you, if I can, through me, what it is, what life is sometimes, to get the most out of it. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. Everything around us obviously isn't always so good. Some things out there are bad, but we don't have to be a partaker of that, if you will. I don't want to be on the wrong side of my father. Well, I know when this punishment's coming and it's time for me to reap what I sow, if I do wrong things and wrong will come to me and I'll be punished and I don't want to go through life. That doesn't make me happy. Those things don't make me happy. I want to do the things that make me happy. The things that engage me. You know, those are the things that I look forward to. And you should too. Because those are things they're profitable, if you will. Not just monetarily, but they're profitable because it adds to what I got and who I am. And I'm in the right situation and direction. And I look forward to that. And should you? And I believe it. I believe that you think or feel similar to me. I think the human family should feel that. Our family should know that. That puts everything in order. God keeps me in order. And we need discipline in our life. Brothers and sisters, as I can hear the construction starting up again, please bear with me. It won't be like this forever. But at this point, I'm going to stop, and I'm thanking you for spending a few minutes with your brother today. I look forward to seeing you again. If you're new again, we have different subjects that we touch on. I try to keep focused on the things that I think that's important for us, and I do my best to guide and lead as I guide and lead myself, that hopefully I could possibly be a good example for direction. And I pray that God allow me to be a messenger to you, if you will. I love you, brothers and sisters. I love you, family. Again, thank you for listening. I pray that things go well with you and your family in your life and help you build towards looking forward to the future. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us. If you're new, subscribe so we can stay in touch. I'll be talking, God's willing, and I will be passing out his message. I am an instrument of God, and I'll bring everything that I have to the table. I pray that I'm here for you, and if there's any way that I can maybe have contact with you through you leaving a comment or me letting you know, or you just want to sit there and observe, that's fine. Either way, I just enjoy your company and I depend on you. I am your keeper and you are mine. I love you, family. So thank you for listening again. Please be safe out there. Love yourself. Love your family. Take care of the things that's important. Once again, thank you. My name is Melvin Jackson. Thank you, family. Be safe. Peace.